The Kim Davis case raising a lot of questions about where we draw the line when it comes to religious liberties in the workplace. The law of the land allows for accommodations due to your beliefs, but critics here say that Davis's refusal to issue same-sex marriage licenses violates the Constitution and therefore cannot be accommodated. Her attorney says they will keep fighting.
The court order did not resolve the underlying issue, and that issue is Kim Davis has asked for a very simple accommodation. Remove her name and her authority from the marriage certificates. We believe that the court could act on that. We believe the governor could act on that, and we believe the Kentucky Assembly can act on that as well.
So we'll see. Bill Donohue is the president of the Catholic League, and Eric Guster is a criminal defense attorney. Welcome to both of you. I want to start with you, Eric. In terms of the legal side of this, what do you think happens next?
What happens next is the court has already told Kim Davis, do not interfere. She broke the law. She did not follow the law, and that's why she was locked up. So what will happen if people are available to make the decisions to say, hey, I'm not going to do this because of my religious beliefs. I'm not going to serve alcohol on the plane, although I'm a flight attendant, because of my religious beliefs. We're getting so far away from what we should do as a society, follow the law, and stop blaming religious freedom on every single thing that they can. She needs to follow the law, and she was wrong.
Yeah, but what about the accommodations that her attorney spoke about? Is it possible that she could be given those?
It is possible. However, if you are the circuit clerk of a county, if you're the clerk and it's your job to issue marriage licenses, even if you don't agree with it, then simply don't do it. You have to simply quit that job or move along. If a person is going to blame religious freedoms on this, I believe it's a far-fetched idea, Martha, and she was trying to be this martyr for religious consciousness, in which she's simply not. She's simply a bigot.
Well, a lot of people disagree. Obviously, she disagrees. The deputy clerk has in the office, if she comes back to work, which is expected, has said that he will go ahead over her wishes and issue these licenses because he feels that that's the job that he was put there to do. It raises a lot of questions, and Bill Donohue is here as well, as I mentioned. Bill, what about this issue that Eric raises, which is, you have a job, you're given a job, and you need to carry out the tasks that you're being paid and authorized to do. And if you have a problem with that, maybe you should seek a different kind of employment.
You know what I find amazing is that I'm sure that Eric regards Martin Luther King as a hero. I certainly do. When he was sitting in the jail, he wrote the letter from a Birmingham jail invoking St. Augustine, that you're obligated not to follow an unjust law. Now, the question is this an unjust law? I would regard it, certainly, as I agree with so many millions of Americans, that it is. Should she have been locked up? I'm glad she was, and let me tell you why. It dramatizes this issue. Now, the authorities obviously had a right to arrest her. We can't have that. But civil disobedience is based on moral suasion. She's trying to morally persuade the country that by nonviolently protesting a law which, by the way, the Supreme Court made this up out of whole cloth, nowhere is it found in the Constitution that two men can get married. So, yes, the authorities were right to arrest her, and she's right to morally object.
All right, so you've got two sides of this, though. I mean, that was the Supreme Court decision. If you want to change that, then there's a process to go through to change that. But, Eric, I want you to address the Martin Luther King comparison, if you would.
This is not a comparison. Martin Luther King would want everyone to have the same equal rights as everyone else. That is a Martin Luther King comparison. He wouldn't want to associate with someone who was a bigot, who was against people for what they believed in and who they are, and that is exactly what Kim Davis does.
So if I believe that a man and a woman should get married and not two men, I'm a bigot, right? This is the new idea. You know what? That doesn't work, fella. Don't try that nonsense on me. No, it doesn't work.
This is the same example, such as interracial marriage.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I know civil rights.
So it has nothing to do with interracial. Interracial marriage didn't change the institution.
A situation where two people want to get married and it's the law of the land, allow them to get married. That is her job.
Right.
So I know about civil rights, young man.
Yeah, you should read more what Martin Luther King said in his letter to the Birmingham jail when he invoked conscience rights.
All right, gentlemen, we're never going to know what Martin Luther King would have thought about this particular situation, but I appreciate the angle that both of you are bringing to this. But let me ask you this. When you come to this country, you know, a lot of people, when they originally immigrated to this country, they had to leave some things behind. You know, some people changed their names in order to stay in this country and get work. And, you know, they practiced their religion in a private way, and they didn't try to impose it on other people in the workplace. Are we overstepping the bounds when you're in a situation where you've got, you know, Muslim truck drivers who won't transport alcohol, someone on a plane who won't serve alcohol? You've got Kim Davis who won't do the job that she was elected to do, which is to sign these licenses as one of the duties that she's supposed to carry out. I mean, have we gone too far? And I'm going to go to Eric in a moment, Bill, in accommodating everybody. I mean, are some things in your life private and separate from your work?
Well, we're not accommodating the Sisters of Life. The Obama administration is trying to force them to pay for abortion-inducing drugs. We're not accommodating her. The ACLU is against Kristen Davis, okay? You know what I find striking? When a bunch of thugs who are prisoners in a maximum security facility ask to huddle away from the guards, they can invoke religious rights. Guess who defends that and who says they should be exempt? They should be accommodated. The same ACLU. This is a phony game here. It's when Christians invoke their rights that they're the ones being discriminated against here, not the Muslim thugs who are inside our prisons. Answer that, Eric.
Go ahead, Eric.
This is not a game. This is about religion and bigotry, and she's hiding under the cloak of religion to show her bigoted actions. But why are some, and that is
Eric,
the problem.
The question was, why are some organizations given exemption and embraced by the left? And, you know, this woman is not allowed to profess her freedoms and her religious freedom in the same way. That's what Bill's saying. You got to treat everybody exactly the same way if you're going to do it this way.
She is not being told that she can't express her religious freedoms. This is an elected position where she took the oath to uphold what the Constitution says, where same-sex marriage is permissible. She's supposed to issue those marriage licenses, and she defied that court order.
All right, we got to go.
That is what the issue is.
All right, Eric
she
and
broke
Bill,
the law.
thank you. Good debate. Great to have you both with us. Thank you, gentlemen.